I had the realization that I have a lot of whips and I need to work through them. I think that's all of them. No, it's not. These are all of my whips. I choose to put air quotes around that because some of these are projects that I have the yarn for and just never started. Let me go over some of these. This here is the lightly toasted cardigan. The only reason why I've actually stopped working on this one, because I was having an absolute blast on it, is because I ran out of yarn. This is where it is. I've got, I think, just the big swirl left for this front panel, and then this will be one whole panel done. This yarn is lovely and I love working on this. I just at the moment don't want to spend more of my money on this yarn, mostly because I have so many other projects that I have yarn for that I haven't started yet, that it made sense to make some progress on some of those first. But this is a definite keep. I'm not gonna get rid of it. Okay, this is a yarn I brought a couple years ago now. I don't have the label for it anywhere, and it's actually a knitting project. Originally, this ball of yarn was me learning how to crochet for the first time a couple years ago, but due to other commitments with uni and stuff, I just wasn't able to really pick up and learn. Once I kind of picked up crocheting and hadn't touched this ball yet because I couldn't find it, I decided this would be my learning how to knit. And I started off with this scarf that was a free pattern I found, but in all honesty, I haven't been having much fun with it. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna frog this, and this ball of yarn is still gonna be learning how to knit, but I think instead of just starting off immediately on a project, I'm gonna go ahead and follow some tutorials. This is a project I've been working on since I ran out of the yarn for the lightly toasted cardigan. Absolutely loving this. This is the 6-day star blanket. I'm not trying to do it in 6 days. I'll show you where I'm at currently. It's getting quite big already. It's getting a bit of a nuisance to work with, but I'm still loving it. Obviously gonna keep working on it. This has been my easy go-to when I want to watch other stuff. This is the sunshine bucket hat. I didn't fully follow the pattern. I think I stopped a lot earlier than their like initial suggestion. I think I honestly may have made it a bit too, I mean, it's the right size. It's just not very tight. I think I wanted to do like another couple of rounds on the brim. I don't know. I just kind of stopped working on it. I don't think it would take me too long to do. I think part of it is this cotton that I'm using. It feels nice, don't get me wrong. It can be quite tough on like my hand when I work on it. It's also mid-August at this point, so I think I will finish it just because it is so close to being done. I might not wear it, so then it probably is a bit of a waste of the yarn, and it might be better for me to frog it just because I don't think I'm gonna wear it. I might frog it. That might be on the frog list. No. I think I've talked myself into frogging it. This is the other yarn that I have for the 6-day star blanket, so I'll just leave that there. This bag, and where is it? It's probably the one right behind me I'm basically sat on. And this bag. This is my temperature blanket. So this is the old one that I started frogging, and this is the bag of all the frogging sadness. A lot of different colours in there. And then this was me starting the new temperature blanket here. This isn't even January finished. I think I have one row to finish and that's January, but it's August. I'm gonna finish it because I put so much time, so much yarn brought towards it, and I want to finish it. It's just gonna be one of those, instead of it being done in the year, it's gonna be done however long, probably by the end of next year, and I won't be doing any temperature blanket stuff next year. I think this is fine for my like temperature blanket. Maybe I'll do one like every 5 years or something, but the new temperature blanket is obviously keep working on, and the old one is finish frogging. This was yarn I brought very early on in my crochet journey. I wanted to use this yarn to create starburst, granny squares, and create a bag. The yarn I brought was all slightly different weights. To be honest, this is the only one that's like super different. This is an Aran versus the DK, the rest of this is. But what I found is, especially when crocheting this yellow here, it was just too thin, so then I ended up doubling it up. I don't know. I never finished one because I felt like the yarn wasn't right for it, so I was gonna frog it. I don't know. It might work. It might be fine if I just let it do its thing. and it might be perfectly fine. I think it was the texture of the cotton blend yarn I have and the Sidar Snuggly was just so different that it really threw me off. I didn't mind the middle brown bit as much because that being a different texture makes sense. I think it's a frog because I don't like it. Thought I was going to convince myself into doing that there, but I think no, it's definitely a frog. This project has been an on and off thing. I've restarted it once or twice. It's meant to be a kicker toy for my cats, and this is very similar to the sun hat where I would work on it for a really long time and then I'd need to take a break because it was just hurting my hand because I've done it so incredibly tight. I don't want any of the polyfill to come out of it when the cats are playing with it. I think it was probably a 3mm that I was using for it. That seems likely. This is about 1/3 of the size. I want it to be about this long, so it wouldn't make sense to frog all of this work. And I've been really wanting to make them a little toy, and I love the way this yarn's working up for them, so that's a continue. This is actually the second attempt for this wearable. This is the Cumulus cardigan. It's, I think, one of the first ever wearable patterns I brought, if not one of the first patterns I ever brought. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to see it finished, but my ability has changed even since restarting this one, and I honestly hate doing a back loop only slip stitch, which this does have a significant amount of because all this ribbing is that, and you can actually see how my tension has changed. I just don't think this is going to turn out well, so I think it's a frog. I might not do this pattern in this yarn. I'm tempted to work in a much chunkier yarn and then find something else for this. I like the way this looks. It kind of gives me like Smarties or like that arcade flooring sort of feeling, so I do like the yarn. I just don't know if this was actually the right pattern for it. I don't even have enough of this yarn for this pattern yet either, so it's not super moneyed out or anything. I just know this is going to be absolutely horrendous to frog, but I think it is necessary. It's kind of sad because it was one of my first ever projects I started, but I really need to lift the weight off my shoulders with finishing things that I don't think I'm ever gonna wear. Now, these two bags contain my mum's birthday gift. So I did actually get some of this gift finished. For context, they're roses. I've actually finished crocheting all of the flower petals and even all of the green leafy ones as well. It's just that I need to put it all together, so I need to do a lot of gluing. It's a different type of crafting feel. I want to gift it to my mum. I want to give her the rest of the roses, and she's gonna get them. So this is definitely a finish. One that needs to be done sooner than later, but also one that I am consistently dreading because I have to set up the glue gun, I have to set up my space to be able to do glue gun stuff. The final few I have to show you are actually projects that I have brought yarn for that I haven't started yet. In fact, this yarn, these 4 balls of yarn, I haven't even brought a pattern or decided what pattern entirely to use. I have a good mind of what I would like to do, but I don't know. Am I going to use it towards that, or is it just going to be yarn that's going to sit in my collection forever? This yarn, I know exactly what pattern this yarn's going to. This is the Benet blanket, or Benet, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to be putting this towards the Matrixx Hood. I brought enough yarn for it. This is one of the first patterns that I think I saw that I wanted to do as well, in addition to the Cumulus cardigan. It just keeps getting sidelined. This yarn, I actually brought at a market that happens in my local town. I got it for £6.50, and every time I've tried to look at this yarn online, it has always been far more expensive. It looks like that. It's the Yarn Art Flowers in the 272 color. It doesn't actually have a name on here. It is Superfine 1, which I think is equivalent to fingering weight. I'm intending to use this on a shawl. I have not brought the pattern yet, but I know exactly what pattern I'm going to do, but I have been holding off on buying the pattern just because I have all these other projects, and I'm very excited to eventually get to this. This yarn I actually brought from Wool Warehouse. I brought it with the intention of seeing if I liked Yarnsmith's Create Double Knit. I do have a very specific project in mind. It is a bobble stitch pixel project. So I've got all the colors, I have the chart that I want to do. I just haven't started it yet because there's other projects, and this is also going to be a very big project. So I need to get one of the already started whips that are very big shifted if I want to start this one. That's kind of an update on all of the whips I have going at the moment. I've got quite a bit to frog. This is going to be a really quick frog, so I think I'll do that one. And then this as well. That's a lot of ongoing things I have. I'm going to get rid of like 5 of the like ongoing projects I have, which is good. And then in reality, I only have 5 actually started projects. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'll see you in a bit. I started by frogging the Sunburst granny squares, just because they would be the easiest to do. There just wasn't a lot to frog, so I thought I'd get it out the way. Looking back at this now though, I'm tempted to do it again, but just use the brown and the first yellow and like a cream colour, and I'll just use that cotton blend yellow for 2 of the rows, because those 2 yellows don't need to be a different colour. I think that could work, and it'd also get the yarn out of my stash, which would be really nice.
Moving on.
I have to think about it. I've got to finish other projects first before coming back to this one. The issue with editing so far after you've recorded everything is that frogging things means that sometimes you've restarted things, and this scarf is one of those. I have restarted it and I have not touched it in a while, but if you want to see how it's going, you can always check out my Ravelry page, which does have the new version of this project and also many other projects that I may have mentioned in this video and may or may not have finished. It's January 2026 while I'm editing, by the way, just for some timeline there. Editing takes a long time sometimes. I'd really like to try making this bucket hat pattern again. I think the fact I didn't follow the pattern properly was probably my downfall. Also, my colour choice. I was trying to emulate a specific hat from my childhood that was white, and I just don't think white is the right colour for this. I think a more summery colour would be good, like the yellow that's actually shown in the pattern, or maybe a brighter green. But I would like to do it again. I paid for the pattern after all, so I'd like to at least make it one time. I am glad I frogged this though, because I did end up using a good chunk of this yarn for a different project that you can also check out on my Ravelry page. I don't intend to make a video about it. I don't really have enough to make a video about it, but if you want to see it, you can check out my Ravelry page. I somewhat alluded to this earlier, but this was not my first time frogging this yarn. And tweed yarns, this is the only one I have worked with, but frogging this yarn, it gets caught so often. Which, you know, the tweed, to be expected. But I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with this yarn, because whatever I decide to do, I do not want to frog it again. You know, I've just had a thought. If I don't hate that it's not the same yarn, this could be a good alternative for the border for my temperature blanket, because it's got the tweed like rainbow in it, and it's black, which I was just going to use a plain black originally. Would it be too much? Would it take away from the temperature blanket colours? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I was so happy when I got the frogging done, because I was like, cool, now all I have to do is wind it, and yet this was not easy either. It did just get tangled, and I had to do a little like drop spindle situation, and it still got tangled. But once this was done, I was so happy, but also a little devastated. Because that meant the only frogging I had left to do was my temperature blanket. Frogging this blanket was truly a labor of love. It took so long. Not even mentioning the fact that this blanket, to begin with, was a labor of love. It is quite devastating to be pulling this apart, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it is sad. I still feel sad looking back at this. The amount of hours I put into this project to just frog it all and restart. I actually don't know who I was when I decided to do that, because the things that person put me through, nasty. I have made a decent amount of progress on this temperature blanket since this. Like I said, it's now January, and so I have not finished it, but a lot of progress has been made, and you will slowly but surely see updates as I get through editing all of those. It's just gonna take time, but they are coming, I promise.
We are pretty strong right now, but it's a very balanced strong.
This goes for more than just the end here, but I had so much trouble every time I came to a color change, because I had already weaved in all the ends for this. So every time a color change happened, I had to unpick the weaved in end because it just kept getting caught and snagging. I'm just so glad I didn't knot them on this one. Have I done that on the new one? Yes. Do I hope to not unfrog it? Also yes.
That go unused too. For starters, other placeholder models include seeing any character named Parker in the game, and although I couldn't find a matching bit of concept art like we saw Rat character with a cane. And then the cutout assets don't end there, with all of them using concept art for their texture. Parker character that we saw intended for the other cutout. Now based on this Rat's attire and then just a bunch of smaller extremities coming out, we also have a bunch of unused animations left over in this game. First up are a whole lot of early animations for Jack. This start pose animation just has the rat chilling under the podium. This just about seals the deal. Workshop. Being an early map, there of course aren't
And there you have it. Only the foundation chain is left to frog, and I could not believe it.
I also want to put belt loops onto the back waistband on the sides here.
It really was quite the journey, just frogging all of this blanket, and now it's finally gone.
My front panel, but I made it work.
It's quite late. I have completely unwound what was left of the temperature blanket, and I have gone ahead, separated them by colour, and have put them into these 4 bags. This is obviously a lot more yarn than I had to unwind because this was already partially unwinded and frogged. So my plan for all of this is by colour, I'm going to go ahead and magic knot every single end of all the pieces together to create a ball. Some of these are going to be 1, if not 1.5 worth of a skein of yarn. I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm just going to wind it up. I luckily know what all of these colours are, and I will eventually be putting them straight back into my temperature blanket. That is why I wanted to unwind all of this. This probably month, so about 30 rows worth, took hours and hours and hours. I have been not continuously going, but almost continuously going, and it is now 5 a.m. Considering I need to go to the shop tomorrow, and it's a Sunday tomorrow, so everything closes at 4, I am gonna leave doing magic knots for tomorrow. Anyway, I'm gonna head to bed because I'm yawning, and I will see you tomorrow.
So this is the oldest lot of like bad phrase.
After getting a good bit of rest, I hopped to it. I sat down and I set myself up to magic knot for the rest of the day. This process took forever. I love that I've now got all this yarn that I can put back into the temperature blanket, and I haven't wasted it all, but doing magic knots for all of these, joining all these colours back together, it took a long time. It was well worth it in the end though. And I did not record all of this, which thank goodness, because there was already way too much footage for me to go through.
I want in replacement of, Valkyrie is the dad, but then maybe some make the infamous, give us the guy we need to steal something. Why is this a note and not so lot of punch? Because it's in Cross Better. It is isolation and manipulation of yarn's introduction was more than him just jumping at the glass and the doctor piecing out 1170 1188 Your story, if you keep, should be mentioned in more places than a single tape. Story should be a big deal. Never brought up this video, and it's especially Sector is asking no ways of putting aside his personal entire personnel allowed to write, sure, and then we had don't. And you'd see them as children and want to protect them. It's cool ideas here that I'd love to sink my teeth is surface level. We're presented with the base concept and take care of a child.
So I did the same thing where I
secured the drinks, the cakes, so the much smaller moons. This second shape went much smoother. Wherever could they be? Through this or in things become shit. So I was saying a block bearish ordeal. The kingdom to find lots of them. No, and I didn't even know I could care for those. And tried to do the same. Burning my sea enjoyed the symbol with the space free. And at this point, I thought other completion each who'd heard about this music snatching off unback into my base form and then drained the end mode just for the ruin, dragging and plant multi-moves to make literally remaining problem. Having dirty. I had to speak with Tech Test. It's like lasting Hadar and every soundtrack 50 and
I've been doing this for at least an hour and a half and just 20 minutes on this singular colour, and I still have so much left. Am I surprised? No, but I'd really, really love to finish before 2:30 so I can get some sleep. And this will be incredibly satisfying to have done, because then I can get back to actually working on the temperature blanket without this absolutely massive blocker.
raging around me. Yet, and there's not a will of this NPC. All this Slayer will not stop and vineyard. I started to expand it and come on me. Was really struck by next to start and no one expecting that. The business and continuing after accidentally shaggy and money for the source was closed. And the victim was my prize tomato thing in processing.
I'm not gonna get this done before 2:30. Still got all these left. Getting there though. It's getting there. It's the last one to attach. It's taken me nearly an hour to do this one color, but it's okay, because it's the last one. Can you just imagine if, I actually had just somehow miscounted and there was actually another whole color to do? I think I'd cry. My, neck, not even my neck, my shoulders are hurting. I've been in this kind of weird hunched position, which I try to not be in, but yeah, it just hurts. Here is the pile that is this colour, the biggest pile we've had, and also the pile of all the ends. I'm gonna go ahead and wind this up, and that will be done with the froggening. that's the end of that. Drawing all of that not only took forever, but then doing all the magic knocks to put it back into balls and then winding it up took absolutely forever. I'm honestly just glad it's over. Now that I frogged those projects, it does mean that I actually get on with the projects that I've been working on. I have 3 main whips, I would say, one of which isn't really a main whip at the moment because I don't have the yarn to continue it. So I suppose I have 2 main whips, which is the 6-day star blanket and the temperature blanket. I'm very happy with the progress I made in just 2 days. Doing something like this takes a lot of energy for me. Honestly, I've been putting off organizing or even really looking at the projects that I have that I've been working on, ones that I've brought the yarn for, and then ones that I just know I'm not going to finish. So to have frogged the projects I did, to have done all of this is honestly just such a big improvement in my whip situation. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. If you've been working on anything, let me know down in the comments. I'm always interested to know what other people are working on. It's what inspires me, just seeing other people work on stuff or hearing about what other people are working on. It keeps me motivated and interested in this hobby. So thank you again. I hope you've had an absolutely wonderful time while you've been watching this. Have a lovely rest of your day and I'll see you next time. Bye now. As kind of a small side, I just want to say like a general thank you to all of the content creators that I've been watching during this period of like doing this, because I don't think I could have done this without having their videos playing. There's been a lot of different creators, but yeah, thank you.